Ever dreamed of launching your own podcast and turning it into a lucrative side hustle? Maybe you even thought about being the next Joe Rogan. If you're an older worker or a retiree and you're looking for a great new opportunity, you're in the right place. Because in this video, I'm thrilled to introduce you to Josh Troche. He's a podcasting guru and the podcast producer at Corporate College in Cleveland, Ohio. Josh is going to share some of his most valuable tips and insight, things that you need to know to kickstart your podcasting side hustle. That's all up next right here on Over 50 TV. Welcome to Over 50 TV, Josh. I'm so happy to have you here with us today.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm excited for us to have the chance to chat here.
Yeah, I thought a lot about this recording, and all I thought about is how big podcasting has become. I never even thought it was going to get as popular as it is today.
It's funny because it's been around for a very long time, actually, and it is really gained popularity as people. The accessibility is there, more so with, let's call it, unlimited data plans on people's phones. It's the beauty of it is that you can take it anywhere. You can learn things, you can get stories, and you can pick it. So the nice piece about podcasting is it is something that you choose. You choose what you listen to and when, and that's a big piece of it.
So let's talk about the class that you teach, the course that you teach, because I want our viewers to know how accessible podcasting is. And first question I have for you is tell me about the podcast program and what you're aiming to achieve with your program.
When they approached me to say, hey, look, do you want to come teach this? I was like, yes, I was all excited. Let me get up in front of people and talk. To me, the goal when we talked about this, what I really wanted to do is I wanted people to walk out with a podcasting guide. I wanted them to have some idea of what they want to do when they walk into the class. But when they walk out of the class, they've got step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and they've got something that they can refer to that I always like to say that keeps them on track.
Yeah. Well, what exactly are they learning, though, in the podcast program?
It's interesting. We actually there's 2 classes on pre-production. There's a production class, and then there's a post-production class. People don't realize, and I'm sure you do realize, how much work goes into the preparation on stuff like this.
Sure.
This is not just, hey, let's talk. It's about making sure that it fits. It's making sure that you're getting the right messaging. It's making sure that you're talking to the right people. How do you find people to talk to? It's all those things. It's making sure that people have those things ready to go. So they can hit the ground running with their first show, rather than saying, oh, I got to get 15 shows in this before I even start to figure it out. The production side covers some of the equipment, and we talk about it from anywhere from a professional studio like I'm sitting in right now, all the way to, hey, set your phone up on the table, buy a $9 Bluetooth microphone, and have at it. We cover all those steps in between, and same things post-production. We talk about where should you put it? How should you put it? How do you make sure people are going to see it? Because that's the big thing, is you don't want to just sit there and talk to yourself. So we make sure that you can get it out to people too.
Yeah, it sounds like an extremely comprehensive program, and it surprises me because I didn't think, for whatever reason, I didn't think it would be that comprehensive. But let me ask you though, what equipment and skills do you think someone should have? Say somebody who's coming into it, never done it before, knows they want to learn about podcasting. What equipment and skills should they have at minimum?
Really, I mean, at a minimum, I always tell people to have a decent microphone, and that can be a $50 microphone that just plugs into your laptop. People will put up with bad video. People will not put up with bad audio. So if you can get some decent quality audio, that puts you worlds ahead of so many other people.
You know what? It's so funny you say that, because one of the complaints, and one of the reasons I bought this mic that I have here, is because I kept hearing from viewers at Over 50 TV they message me. I got emails. We can't hear we can't hear you. I mean, they could put up with me looking kind of fuzzy and maybe grainy, but not the sound. You're exactly right about that.
Yeah, sound is such a huge thing because, I mean, let's face it. People, I mean, they want to see the people. They want to see, I mean, how we look. They want to see the interaction. They want to know what we're talking about. And the body movements, those types of things speak to that in a big way. But they're probably not just going to sit here and want to stare at the two of us.
Yeah.
So they'll forgive a little bit of that.
Yeah, yeah, I see that and I hear that too. But so along that vein, what are some of the I guess I'll say the common challenges that a student faces, and how do you recommend that they overcome that particular or multiple challenges?
One of the biggest ones that I always find is people trying to pick their audience. Who are you trying to talk to? And it's one of my favorite things that I teach, because the problem is people are like, well, I want to talk to people that are from 40 to 70, women that are 40 to 70. And I'm like, great, you're not going to talk to those people. I'm like, you need to pick a person. And so that's a difficult thing, because once they target in on who their audience is, that's when things really start to develop. And that's when you can see them really start to get some ideas on like, oh, well, if I'm talking directly to this person, well, then great, I can do this, 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 and this. And it really starts to build. The other thing that I always tell people to do is to have 12 ideas up front for subjects.
Yeah.
That way, I mean, we all know you get like 3-4 topics in and you're like, yeah, this is awesome. About like 7 or 8, you're like, oh my gosh, what am I going to talk about next week?
Yeah.
If you've got 12 subjects lined up, usually and like subjects 10 and 11, you'll start to get new topics and you'll start to be like, oh, well, this is what we can talk about. And it starts to really snowball from there in a good way.
Well, you also get a lot of feedback from the people who listen to you or who watch you. And that does help too, don't you think?
100%. That feedback, your audience very much will be your guide. It's great to start with an idea. It's great to start with, look, we're headed this direction, but people will ask questions that will start to guide you in what direction you need to go.
Yeah, and that is just so important to get that feedback. So I need to ask you, what trends are you seeing in this whole podcast industry right now?
The biggest thing is video, like what we're doing here right now. The ability to see how people are interacting, to be able to see their body language. That we often didn't realize how much of a key that is for effective communication.
Yeah.
Spotify now offers videos for the podcast. That, like, if you post a podcast with Spotify, you can put a video on that now too, and you can watch videos in Spotify the same way that you can in YouTube, same way you can on Facebook. So all these platforms are making sure that they can serve up video to you.
What do you tell somebody though who says, I don't want to get on, I don't want anybody to see my face, maybe they're a little bit nervous, times they have some anxiety. I mean, so they can just do, they could just do audio, correct?
100%. You can still do audio. There's still so many podcasts out there that are still only audio. It's not a problem. The only thing that I would say is that you do lose out on some of the benefits of video, but can you do just audio? 100%.
Yeah. Now, and your program, do you cover that topic, video?
Yeah, we talk about it. Really, it's in a lot of the program, it's about generating content for people. And if you're going to sit down and talk, you may as well have a video camera there too, because that, once again, that opens up so many other doors in terms of just a reach that you can get with people.
Yeah, there's no question about that. So, you talked about, reach, and I know we've covered this a little bit already, but that niche, finding that right niche. Is there a recipe that you give somebody and say, hey, this is how you pick a great niche, a niche that's going to get views or listeners? Any suggestions on that?
Pick something you love. There are other people out there that love the same things that you love. You need to find them, but you need to pick that one specific area that you can talk about. And it really is, if you can talk about it that passionately, other people will be there for it. They will show up there for it. The thing that I always like to say that kind of goes along with that is there's a lot of people that look at vanity metrics.
Yeah.
We got 15,000 impressions. Great. They watched 4 seconds of your video, though.
Yeah.
I would rather have 10 people that show up every week and hang on every word that I say than I would 10,000 people that here or there.
Yeah, that's you're 100% right. I know I look at my analytics every single day, and usually 10 times, a dozen times a day or more. I mean, I kind of hang on that. But you know what? It's the folks who stay on and watch that whole segment. That's how YouTube judges you. And I'm sure that's how the other organizations, that's the metric that they use to know if they should push you, if their algorithm should push you.
100%. They're looking at how long someone hangs out. And really, if you think about it, all these companies, a question I always ask people, why do social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube all exist? And people give me answers like, oh, they're there to connect people. They do that.
Mm-hmm.
Those platforms all exist to make money.
Yeah.
And the way they make money is by selling the amount of time that you have been online. So if you have done a good job of letting them sell advertising by keeping people online, they're going to be like, hey, they did a great job. We're going to show this to more people. So it's a symbiotic relationship, and that's kind of the simplistic way of it. But that's what I always kind of laugh when people say, here's a social media hack. I'm kind of like, yeah, the hack is just keep people on longer so that way they can sell more advertising dollars. And you will connect with your audience that way, though.
Yeah. That's great advice. And it's learned advice. It's some wisdom. And speaking of wisdom and learned advice, how did you get into podcasting?
It's really been an interesting journey because I started with the photo and video side of my business. And there's a client of mine who, he does some political campaigns, and he called me up and he goes, one of my clients has a podcast and he needs someone to edit it. He goes, do you want to do this? And I'm like, sure. I mean, I just started my business. Why not? I will take any client you throw at me. And that was about 6 years ago. He was one of my first main clients. And I really, it sparked my interest in podcasting as a whole. This guy, I mean, the reach he was able to get, the people that he is able to just invite on to be like, hey, look, let's have a conversation. He's had Congress people on, he's had CEOs on, he's had founders on, he's had venture capital. I mean, a ton of people that he wouldn't have had access to otherwise. And I thought that was so interesting, and the conversations that they had. So I built off of that. And then it was about 1.5 years or so ago where I said, let's really go, all in on the podcasting side of the business, because that's really kind of what I enjoy.
So you didn't have any experience in podcasting, but you had that opportunity, that offer, and you jumped in. Is that correct?
100%. And it was one of those things where it was like, okay, hey, look, there's some money here. There's an opportunity here. Let's dive in and learn everything that we can about this. The fact that I really liked it and I enjoyed it, made it pretty easy to dive in and learn everything that I can about it.
Oh, wow. That's an inspirational story. To me, it is, because it's like you just took basically the bull by the horn and said, I'm going to do it. But speaking of interesting, or let's say success stories, can you share maybe a success story that one of your students has had?
We actually just had a student in the studio record a podcast, and for her, it was about a personal journey. And to me, the biggest success in that was, she's like, I've told people this story. I've wanted to tell this story. Her sitting down in the studio here and just telling the story, you could tell was such a therapeutic thing for her and such a healing thing for her, that I was like, look, even if no one listens to this, she's done this, she's gotten this out. She's like, I'm going to release this into the world, and whatever happens with it happens. but you could see that there was a weight lifted. And to me, that was something just awesome with it.
Yeah, that's really amazing. And I'm glad you said that, because I think there's a lot of folks out there that would really listen to what you just said, hear that story and think, you know what, I'm going to do it. But what advice would you just say to somebody who walked up to you, maybe walked in your classroom and said, you know, I'm thinking about doing this. I'm thinking about getting in, you know, taking the class and podcasting, but what would you say to them about starting a podcast?
Just do it. 100%. One of the things that I love about it is this is something that you can get in at a very low level, or you can get in at a very high level. It's like sports. There's your local softball league where show up and great. You could not hit a ball all season and it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
There's also professional softball leagues or baseball leagues. So, and there's anything and everything in between. You can do the same thing with podcasting. So if you just want to talk, if maybe you're looking to build something, maybe you're looking to tell stories and legacies.
Yeah.
To me, one that's near and dear to my heart is a client of mine deals with race cars.
Mm-hmm.
I approached him and said, look, you love old racing stories. I said, my father is 79 years old and still races. I'm like, would you be willing to have him as a guest? And he goes, you betcha. So he had him as a guest. And once again, he was able to tell those stories. To me, the fact that you can come in, you can do the stories, you can do something educational, and you can do all these great different things with it. It really comes down to just start.
So Josh, look into your crystal ball and tell us where you see the future of podcasting.
It's such an interesting thing, because this is one of those things that develops, and it's been slow to evolve initially, but now that there's video and also all sorts of other content items that come out of it, I see it growing. I see it continuing to grow. It's another way, once again, that there can be ads put in that can be dished out to us. I still see it growing. I don't see a huge upshoot in it. There's this slow adoption on listeners, because let's face it, we need listeners. There's this slow adoption on listeners, and every day it's pulling in more and more people. I see it very much chugging ahead the way it has over the past couple of years, and just gaining ground. And to me, that's great, because obviously the more listeners we have, the more we're able to reach people. And that also opens up more opportunities for people to start their own podcast, to tell their stories, to talk about what they're passionate about, and build around that. So I see good things in the future. I see this as this slow build.
And I see it as a way for podcasters to make more and more money. That's what I'm saying. One last question. What do you want folks to know about Tri-C's corporate college podcasting program?
We take care of all the stuff that you don't want to learn about. It's the way that I like to put it. I usually say, look, to take the class, I really enjoy teaching the class. I'm a fairly enthusiastic guy. I'm willing to bet you picked up on that.
Yeah, no doubt.
We have a ton of fun in the class. And to me, it's all about making sure that you're set up for success with the podcast. We take care of all the production side and everything like that, though. So that way you don't have to learn a whole nother skill set. Someone can come in and literally sit down and talk, and that's all they need to do. And the rest of it can kind of be handled for them. So that way it doesn't need to be intimidating. We've kind of lowered that bar to entry. Come on in, sit down, talk into the microphone, much the way I am doing, and away you go.
You know what? It's just a fantastic program that you offer there at Tri-C's Corporate College. You know, what I'm going to do is I'll put a link in the description box of this video, just so folks can reach out to you, can reach out to the college, can sign up for the course. I think it's a fantastic opportunity for people out there.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I'm really excited to get some people in here, some more people in here. And like I said, we have a ton of fun if someone wants to take the class.
No, I'm sure they do, and I can tell just by talking to you that they have a lot of fun. Josh Troche, and am I pronouncing that right? Troche?
You nailed it. Nailed it.
Great. Great. Well, Josh, thanks a lot for joining us, and I'm sure I'll be talking to you again soon.
Sounds good. Thanks a bunch.